Hi, this is Shane, and we're here with Brooke Chiasson from the project called Pandemik9, and this is episode, 3 now, of Industrial+Beers.
And mine's... I am going to have my beer in my Eat a Bag of Dicks mug.
Mm-hmm. It's a fun mug.
It is. There we go.
Normally it's full of coffee, but today we're drinking beer. So
drinking beer out of a coffee mug because fuck you and your standards.
So I'm gonna ask you some standard questions that I've asked everyone else, and we'll just get to it.
And that's your phone ringing.
Yeah, let me just turn that off. What was your first entry point into industrial music? Like, when did you start listening to industrial? And if you want, you can mention the first album you got into as well.
Well, I would say it took me maybe about 7 years, give or take, to actually get into industrial music.
Yeah.
My first exposure, like most other people within my generation, would probably have been 9 Inch Nails when the Downward Spiral was released. And back then, I was kind of a grunge hippie, if you will.
Ah, yes. You do still look like a grunge hippie.
Fuck you. And, at that point, I was not really big into synthesizers. Bands I was listening to at the time were like Nirvana, Sonic Youth, Green Jelly, anything that had a lot of guitar distortion, bass, and drums. Right.
Yeah.
I often associated synthesizers with the dance music that was popular at the time, like 2 Unlimited, KLF.
Yeah.
And who else would have been popular at the time?
Some kind of techno band of some sort.
Yeah, some techno band of some sort. Yeah. So it wasn't my jam when I first got into, and when I was first exposed to 9 Inch Nails. It wasn't until at that later point in my graduation year, I was singing in a punk rock band, and the other members of the band decided to introduce me a little bit more deeply into 9 Inch Nails. And as well, they were into other industrial bands like Skinny Puppy, and if you would call them industrial, Marilyn Manson. He did have a lot of industrial elements. He was working quite intimately with Trent Reznor, especially on his Nothing label.
Superstar.
Exactly. So that helped me open my mind to the idea of using the synthesizers in music. That you can use it in heavier music, music that's more, that's less mainstream than the dance music that was like the end thing at the time. And I would ultimately, though, I would say I would have I had to get into goth and gothic metal before I could really get into industrial music.
Okay.
During my university years, I was studying music in university. My discipline was classical guitar. Yeah. And I was also listening very religiously to the campus community radio station at the University of New Brunswick. Okay. The station was called CHSR. Yeah. And they had this one show called Eboniva's Witchcraft, which was a goth and gothic metal show. Yeah. So she played everything from like Bauhaus, Sisters of Mercy, Christian Death, to Tempo Negative, Cradle of Filth, Moonspell, and hearing a lot of the gothic metal that had incorporated synthesizers also opened my mind even more so to their use. Okay. And while I was studying music too, that's something I wanted to do. That was incorporate my knowledge of music theory, my knowledge of composition, and with classical guitar to the darkness and heaviness of a lot of gothic metal and gothic, as well as the eeriness of gothic rock. Okay. She also played when she decided not to do the show anymore, she was moving out of town. I decided to go on CHSR and host a goth show just to explore more about it.
Yeah.
And the guy that was training me, he hosted a industrial show, and he introduced me to a lot of, I guess you would call them third wave, fourth wave industrial bands, such as KMFDM, Bump Scoots, Velvet Acid Christ, Frontline Assembly, and a whole bunch of others, Project Pitchfork, and I wound up playing a lot of those.
I'm creating a mess, Brooke.
I wound up playing a lot of those on my show, and especially a lot of Frontline Assembly and Skinny Puppy to incorporate the Canadian content. So that was what got me a little bit more. I don't think I got really into industrial music until after I graduated from university and moved to Calgary. Met up with a CJSW programmer named Chris Parasite.
Chris Parasite.
And he was, he hosted Dead Air.
Yeah.
And he introduced me a little bit more, as well as I was volunteering for a funding drive show back in 2001 that Chris was organizing, and it had some local talent, including the Manic and Depressives, Incultus, and Toxic Shock Syndrome.
Yeah, okay. Old.
All the old school industrial bands of the early era of Calgary's industrial and goth scene. So hearing them and seeing that there's more to live music than going to a punk band or a metal band or seeing a DJ, that was another major inspiration for me. To especially even to get into making industrial music. So. Ultimately those were the things that really turned me onto it eventually. Okay. As for my first album, if you would call it, like I said, if you would call it industrial, it would probably have been Marilyn Manson's Antichrist Superstar. He certainly, like I said, he certainly had a lot of industrial elements in that album. And but I would say ultimately, I started buying my first couple of industrial records maybe after I moved to Calgary. Remember buying Toxic Shock Syndrome, CD. There was also Dismantled's first album that I bought off of, as well as Cryptomnesia, Hyperneuromaquia.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I would say they are among some of the first few industrial albums. So
this question isn't on here, and I know a lot of, back in the day there was a lot of musicians that were having issues with people criticizing them for using a synthesizer because it's in those times it was considered, it's a computer, it's doing everything for you. What do you think about that? Do you think synthesizers are,
19-year-old me would have agreed. But I would say lots of people who create really good music through synthesizers are very talented musicians, very educated when it comes to their music theory. So in that respect, it is still music in its own right. I mean, they may not do everything in real time, but they certainly do have the know-how to create a very intricate song using synthesizers and other electronic equipment.
I agree. I think synthesizers can be aggressive and traditional like metal guitars or rock guitars, like they can be aggressive and it's up front and stuff, but I think synthesizers can be aggressive too. I think you can get if you're angry at something or whatever the fuck it is, you can get that, you can still get that out in your performance and your all that. So, okay, and that leads me to my next question. How did you get into writing, producing industrial shred metal music?
Well, I think my university years, especially while I was studying music, there were couple of courses in production. The software at the time was Sounded 16, and it was also a more decreased version of Logic Pro, which is what I use now called MicroLogic.
Yeah.
And Logic Pro still has some of the same elements that you would get out of MicroLogic at the time.
Yeah.
They were what inspired me to incorporate a little bit more with making more synth-based music.
Okay.
I think after moving to Calgary, well, especially getting into the gothic metal and stuff like that, that was when what inspired me to want to use a keyboard and a synthesizer for making my music.
Yeah.
And the first synthesizer that I had was a Yamaha PSR 330, I think, 360.
Oh, really? Is that the one with the speakers on the sides?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a kid's toy in comparison to whatever industry standards you would see, but it had all your standard MIDI effects and some additional things that you can get the job done out of it.
Okay.
Now, what was I going to say? When I finally moved to Calgary, I didn't have access to equipment until maybe a couple of years later. I was working in a music store teaching guitar there. I had some equipment that I could use to record with. There were some ups and downs. I couldn't, some things burnt out on me.
Yeah.
So I didn't really start actually recording music until maybe about in 2010.
Yeah. Okay.
I would occasionally get together with other people to do jam outs and things like that. But while I was getting into industrial music, and during my first year living in Calgary, I wanted to save up some money. I was working, I think, for Star Choice at the time, now called Shot Direct. Okay. And to get this thing.
Yes. We will take a look at that a little bit later.
Okay, so the Core Triton.
Yeah.
Which, at the time, it was the keyboard. These days, it's not as much of an industry standard like it used to be. I think nowadays people use Nords and whatnot. Yeah. But it still gets the job done. It required a lot of learning how to use the thing. But almost all the synth sounds that I've used in the previous albums came from the Triton. Okay. Now, what made me want to incorporate industrial with shred guitar? As much as I learned to enjoy industrial, the classical musician in me was a little bit annoyed by this idea that a lot of people within the industrial music scene have this follow this invisible black book. That, the same one that's followed by punk rock musicians and maybe like the true Norwegian black metal bands. That the guitar player in the band has to play like the first or the last 6 strings of the guitar. They only can play on a whole bunch of power chords, and they're not allowed to be good at their instrument, or at least not that good. Yeah. So my goal originally with Pandemik9 was to challenge that idea that industrial, guitar-driven industrial can only be, you can only have to play power chords. also incorporate other things to do with the guitar. Apply a little bit of classical influence melodies. Apply some shredding, right? Just to make the guitar a little bit more interesting. And I also incorporated my composition background to the synth work. I mean, I'm not really much of a keyboard player.
Yeah.
But I like to incorporate like a lot of harmonies to make the sounds a little bit less boring, if you will. Yep.
And you've already answered this question. What were your first instruments and software that you used for industrial music?
Well, there was a Triton, of course, and I would say when I officially started recording my own industrial, when I got this thing, the amp, PV Viper. Yeah. I also had a 7-string Jackson guitar. Yeah. What I love about the 7-string is that you can. So here we have the Triton. Programs I often love using it on this would be such as the Res Down. Yeah. Right, so it has that analog waviness to it.
Is that touchscreen as well? Or?
This is touchscreen, so I'm gonna go here so you can. Here's the actual Res Down effect, or I can make other selections. Fast. Let's see, synths.
That almost reminds me of Wumpscut a little bit, actually.
Yeah, Wumpscut or Hoshiko.
Yeah, or Hoshiko, yeah.
Yeah, I think actually I used that melody for one particular song off the 2014 EP, and it was, I would say it was more Hoshiko influenced than it was Wumpscut. Yeah. Is it Wumpscut or is it Wumpscut?
Oh fuck, I don't know. It's probably pronounced Wumpscut, but everybody...
I would have to, Rudy's on my Facebook page. Maybe I can one day message him. Yeah. So,
how do you pronounce your name, Rudy?
But at any rate, let's see. There's also combination effects. Yeah. I'm just going to go to OK. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I used something like this for a couple of tracks. Let's see if there's another favorite of mine here. Orchestral choir. Yeah.
Hey, where'd you get that mask from? Sorry to change the subject a little bit here.
Oh, actually,
did you make that?
No. Okay. It used to be my girlfriend's ex-husband's.
Oh, really?
He no longer wanted it, so I figured maybe I'm keeping it. I might use it for something, I might not.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Cool mask. Anyway.
Yeah, it's got that steampunk kind of vibe to it. So yeah, those are a couple of the favorite effects that I like to use on the Triton.
Just out of curiosity, do you make your own patches, or do you use a lot of presets when you're using that?
My own patches?
Yeah, like do you make your own patches, your own synth sounds and stuff?
Occasionally I do. I have made a few of my own synth sounds. Let's see if I can. Here, let's go to programming. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Yeah. Probably gonna be in the E section, but I'm gonna go to drums.
I know for myself, I don't like using a lot of presets, at least nowadays, because everyone's used the fucking presets.
Well, there's only so much originality out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Might not be able to find it right away, but there is a there is a sort of clanging effect that I use, and clanging seems to be common in a lot of industrial music. Yeah. So I'm actually going to see if I can find it within a combination effect.
Okay.
Let's see here. I'm just going to go to
clang clang
motion. Maybe it's in synth. Might be in this one. Not there. But, I mean, that is one example of a clang of...
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while since I started, since I was playing around with this.
Yeah. I know.
Complex. Maybe it might be in here.
Did you make this?
The hit that you're hearing right now, that is something I created.
Oh, that's cool, man. Just out of curiosity, how much patch memory do you have in there? Like, how many patches can you hold?
Oh, well, let's find out. I'm gonna go to... So, that's... So yeah, these are all standard piano sounding effects.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I've actually tried
making a sound with it?
Making an actual sound with it.
Yeah.
Let's see, go to global. I would have to take a little bit of time to start screwing around with it. I mean, I used to know, like maybe 10-ish years ago, I used to fiddle around with it a lot, but it's been a while, so I mean, you know, without taking maybe a couple of hours.
So anyway, like my next question was, what's your current setup, and do you mind if we take a look at your pieces? So I mean, you've already shown me this. What else you got here?
The PV Viper.
Okay.
That I use. There's a 7-string Ibanez that I use now for all the guitar work, like the rhythm and the leads.
This is your little recording setup.
This is my recording setup. I'm just gonna, essentially what I like to do nowadays with a lot of the synth work.
Yeah, just use
the arpeggio elements and use whatever synths that are built into the software.
Yeah.
So for example, this one, it's not released yet. I'll give you a little bit of a sample.
Sure.
And using this has offered me to use a little bit more arpeggio effects as opposed to like standard harmonies.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm not really much of a keyboard player, but I do enjoy some very complex keyboard work. So, I mean, I guess this is cheating, but... And that's off the Triton, that the res down effect that you hear.
Yeah, okay.
Or I could change this. I'm just going to go to the... what is that I use there? Funky Octavia.
So is your synthesizer MIDI sync to this?
Sorry, say again?
Is your synthesizer MIDI sync to your machine here?
To the machine, no, it isn't.
Oh, okay.
No,
you just record the audio?
I just record the audio.
Okay.
So let's see if I want to change it to fifth move. Or go to a... Not really a big fan of that one. Or that one either.
It's not bad. I mean, almost sounds farty though. Indigestion.
That one sounds a little bit better, but I prefer the Funk Octavia more than anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's one of the things I like, and one of the things I like to use with it. I've been using also more of the drum programs within Logic Pro as well, as opposed to I used to use them directly from the keyboard and create my own drum effects from there. But I mean.
Sorry, Brooke.
I
will clean this up after.
I think the cat must have broken or something.
Oh.
She's a little bit of a troublemaker. But anyways, originally I used to create arpeggio effects off the Triton with using the drum pads and whatnot. But I guess using them here is giving me a little bit more creative freedom.
Yeah.
I can be a little bit more versatile with the drums, with your arpeggio effects from the synths and whatnot.
Yeah.
And as opposed to sticking with standard repetitions.
Okay.
I don't care too much for like doing 3-note progressions. I like to create phrase structures and things like that. You probably hear that a lot in a lot of Pandemik9 albums, and I find that using the MIDIs here has given me the freedom to do a lot of those things without having to constantly play in real time and going, fuck, kind of making mistake after mistake, which is what I used to do.
Yeah.
Whereas I can cheat a little bit and use the arpeggio effects here. None of this is none of what I've done on the on Launcher Pro has been released yet. I'm hoping to release it sometime, probably at the end of May. I still have vocals to record for one lyrical track.
Yeah.
As well as get the artwork organized, which I plan to do sometime next week.
So I know you slightly answered this question, but why did you purchase these instruments over the other ones? I mean the Korg is like, it was an industry standard for a while. I don't know if that's why you purchased it though. You must have liked it or something.
Yeah, I fiddled around with it prior to buying it, and I just really enjoyed the what it had to offer.
Yeah.
And same with Logic Pro. I mean, actually, the computer itself, I bought it off of a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Before she moved out of the city. And fortunately, she had Logic Pro.
Yeah.
This is what I've been using to create both the Righteous Ones album as well as Revamp.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rebirth.
Yeah.
And Revamp, which I will release at the end of May.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I also, the same person also sold me her 7-string Ibanez. I've been using 7 strings almost religiously for Pandemik9.
Yeah.
What I always love about 7-string guitars is
the chunkiness, like the
chunkiness,
the extra note that allows you for the lower tones and
as
stuff.
Opposed to and without the hassle, and also to keep the higher notes without having to tune down my strings and then having to tune back up again. Right, so I get the best of both worlds with the 7-string guitar.
What do you think of 8-string guitars? Do you think it's too much?
Lots of people I know, lots of bands like Animals as leaders, Tosin Abasi, they play strings almost religiously, and they play them exceptionally well. I don't know what I would be able to do with an 8-string outside of doing what Tosin Abasi would do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Tosin. He's a phenomenal player. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be a direct copycat of him.
Yeah, of course.
I don't want to. It's the same reason why I don't want to be a direct copycat of Steve Vai. Or Paul Gilbert. I'll take some technical ideas that they have. But only to incorporate them in my own style, as opposed to doing something that would be a direct replica of what they do.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the philosophy that it's not the gear you have, but how you use it? I've asked Slava this, I've asked, who else did I ask this? Wet Nurse. Paul asked him this. So, what do you think of that philosophy?
In a way, I actually kind of have to agree. I am a firm believer that if you don't know how to use the resources that you have, then they will never be enough. That's why I kept this for as long as I had. It took me a long time to learn how to use it, but I stuck with it regardless, especially with the arpeggio effects and with creating my own sounds and whatnot. Some of it I might have to learn again, but at any rate, same with using the Logic Pro. I mean, some people said, "Why don't you try going to Ableton Live?" But I figured, you know what, before I decide to switch to anything else, why not try to discover what I can do with Logic Pro first before going to anything else. Same with the amp, see what effects I can use before I go to like an effects pedal or something like that. I used to have one a long time ago and then it burned out on me.
Oh, really?
I am thinking about getting one to see where it would take me guitar-wise.
Yeah.
And see what direction that I can take with the guitars. With guitars, as opposed to just playing distortion and clean, and clean.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that might be a goal with Pandemik9 in the near future. I'm not going to say if it is or not, but I am at a point. Everybody who's listened to my albums, who's listened to my SoundCloud, my Bandcamp, whatnot, everybody knows I can solo.
Yeah.
Now it's more of a direction as to where else I can take the guitar.
Yeah.
Guitar work within Pandemik9.
Yeah. All right. Here, we're out of the standard questions now, so I'm going to ask you some tough questions.
The tough questions.
So, you're a very big proponent of peer review and logic when it comes to issues like the anti-vax movement and spirituality. Christ. You don't believe anything to be true in those issues unless there's scientific evidence behind it. How does that play into your music making?
Well, I have written a couple of songs that are against anti-vaxxers and homeopaths and things like that. Yeah. Most notoriously, the song Antidote.
Yeah.
Basically, it's my jab at people who champion alternative medicine and shun at science-based medicine. And these people who say that they're going against the grain, they think for themselves, they're not doing what Big Pharma tells them to do, but really what they're doing is they're following a smaller cult, right? They're basically following a smaller herd of sheep. If you don't conform exactly to their views to the letter, then you are still considered to be an outcast.
I find it really funny how there's like all this homeopathy stuff, and it's like, you know what? They're like, this is natural, but in reality, everything is natural.
Poison ivy's natural.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
snake venom's natural.
It doesn't matter what medication it is; it's natural anyway because they're taking it from nature in some way, and like everything is natural in the universe, right? Like at least that's what I think, because
everything's natural.
If it wasn't natural, we wouldn't be able to do it, because like even a synthesizer, like the waveforms and stuff. Sure, you can't make those waveforms in like
acoustic instruments.
Yeah, acoustic instruments and stuff, but it's still natural anyway, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be able to do it. Do you know what I'm getting at?
I get what you're.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay. There seems to be an upswing in pagan occult spirituality in the scene. For example, Three Teeth are big into magic and the occult and stuff. What do you think of that? The upswing in the scene, even like the witch house stuff. Even Genesis P-Org was into that kind of stuff in the early days of Industrial, and it kind of carried on and came into the forefront when Psychic TV was created. What do you think of that stuff?
Well, in regards to Three Teeth, I'm for Psychic TV.
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer in art first before ideology.
Yeah.
Just because I don't agree with Three Teeth's views on the occult or what have you does not mean that I cannot enjoy their music.
Yeah, exactly.
And same with Skinny Puppy. Big fan. However, learning that Ogre is a supporter of PETA, which is an organization that I'm very much against.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean not really something I care about it. I would still go and buy their albums. I would still go see their show if they happen to be playing in Calgary. If they are playing in Calgary, like
I wish they would.
Ever.
Fuck.
So it's the same reason why lots of Christians that I know would listen to Slayer, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm sure there's lots of Trump supporters who still like Ministry.
Yeah.
And even enjoy his latest album, Americant.
Yeah.
Despite how, exactly. Despite how openly against Donald Trump Al Jorgensen really is, right? It's more about the music rather than as opposed to being all like, this sucks because he's singing songs about things that I don't agree with or what have you.
Okay, interesting.
And in regards to I have lots of friends, especially both in and outside the scene, who do believe in a lot of things that I call woo.
Yeah.
Right. A couple who are into magic or who would freak out whenever the Mercury retrograde is happening, things like that. I mean, but I don't shun myself from those people because I don't think their beliefs define them.
Yeah, of course.
As people.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Okay, that's very interesting. Next question. You are also not really big on conspiracy theories either. What prompted that? How do you think conspiracy theories play into the scene? Do you think there's a lot of that kind of stuff in the scene? People believing in stuff that can't be proven? For example, 9/11 being an inside job or some alien reptilian race secretly rules the world?
Well, I mean, I still have friends who do believe in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now, as for what prompted me to not believing it, I'm aside from studying music in university, I'm also a science history major.
Oh, okay. I did not know that. That's
yeah. So, and basically, I didn't really learn anything about science through taking history courses, but what I did learn is seeing how science shaped the modern world.
Yeah.
It shaped Western thought.
Yeah.
And it brought me to a conclusion that it's the hard-nosed scientists out there who have done more for the world than the occultists, the psychics, the paranormalists could have ever dreamed of doing.
Yeah.
Right? So,
that's true, actually.
Now, the problem is that science is a victim of its own success. You look at the anti-vaxxer movement, right?
Yeah.
People have a very short memory. They've forgotten how deadly measles and polio really were. And so they get this idea, we don't need those vaccines anymore. Those diseases are eradicated. They cause more harm than good. Like the autism, which there's no proof of that, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
And now it's because of that short memory we're seeing diseases like measles coming back.
Yeah.
And polio is still endemic in parts of Afghanistan, and all it takes is for somebody to fly in from Afghanistan and spread that disease again, right? So, and that's the unfortunate thing.
I can't remember what it was. There was a disease that the world completely rid itself of. I'm not sure if it's smallpox.
Smallpox.
And they got rid of their testing. When they created a vaccine for it, they got rid of the actual.
I'm listening.
Yeah, they got rid of the actual, whatever it is, when they create the vaccine, they're using like a sample of and they actually got rid of the sample. So if smallpox ever comes around again, we will not be able to. I'm not sure if it's smallpox. It could be something else, but we will not be able to create a proper vaccine for it because they burnt or destroyed the. They destroyed.
And that seems to be the thing that anti-vaxxers don't get. Is that they say you're trying to put in disease to prevent disease.
Yeah.
But the reality is they're putting in the antibodies.
Yeah.
So that when your body finally does get the disease, it then knows what it's up against.
Yeah.
Because that's actually how immunity works.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that's a lot of things I find that the anti-vaxxers don't understand. And you try to explain to them, they'll just try to straw man the shit out of it.
Yeah. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. Other things that probably prompted the conspiracy, why I drew such disdain for conspiracy theorists, aside from being a history science major. I mean, there was a time that I did used to believe in some of that stuff.
Yeah, I think there's a time I did too, and then I was just... I won't tell the story.
I mean, I try to keep an open mind, look at the other side of the story. I mean, I became a huge fan of Penn and Teller, who are strong advocates for scientific skepticism, especially on their show Bullshit. Through Penn and Teller, that's how I learned that's who I discovered James Randi, Michael Shermer, Christopher Hitchens, lots of other notorious skeptics, right? Yeah. And basically seeing other sides to the anti-vaxxer movement, to the 9/11 conspiracies, things like that. Yeah. What that made me conclude was that the people supporting these conspiracy theories, people advocating them, people like Alex Jones, David Wolf, or David Icke, is that a lot of these people seem to be... You look at the research, and they seem to be very agenda-driven. Yeah. In other words, they're
trying to sell something.
Yeah, they're trying to sell something. They're trying to push a point. Yeah. As opposed to looking at all the objectives, and that's a very dishonest way to do research. Yeah. Right. So that's why I started becoming more skeptical of conspiracy theories, almost to the point of developing complete and utter disdain. Yeah.
Now into more some lighter stuff. Is there any gear that's coming out, or just gear that you want that excites you?
I haven't been keeping up to date on what's new on gear. Yeah. Like I said, I would eventually like to get another effects pedal, something that's like effects processor, to see where that can take me sound wise for the guitar. Yeah. I might get a new synthesizer sometime down the road. I would like to get something smaller than the Triton Smart.
Yeah, just so it's easy to transport and stuff.
Exactly, for doing gigs. Yeah.
Have you checked out the... Next time you're at my place, I'll show you the Zoom G5N whatever it is.
Okay, I've seen it, but I've yet to play around with it.
I'll show it to you. It's actually really fucking cool. Yeah. So it's cool. It's got great sound and stuff, and even Richard Patrick from Filter. Okay. He went back, and I guess he was apparently Zoom had him recreate some of his patches that he was using for his own guitar sounds and his music.
Right on.
And pretty fucking cool. It's cool stuff.
Sweet.
No. Do you prefer to stay in the studio, or do you enjoy playing out live as well?
Playing live, like the build-up for that can be very stressful, especially if I'm promoting an event. Yeah. But I find at the end result, after the end of it, especially during the time I'm performing, straight up to the very end, that's when I get that rush, that high. Yeah. And basically, I find that this stress that that comes before it becomes worth it.
Yeah,
I also very much honestly, I have no preference. I do very much enjoy being in the studio. I find that's where I'm also in my elements. Yeah. Especially creating sounds that I enjoy creating. Yeah.
I know for myself, I like doing both. I like writing music, obviously, and I also like performing. That, to me, that's the payoff.
Exactly.
The live performance is the end result, and it's like, fuck yeah! Yeah.
Yeah, and that's how I feel about it as well.
What is exciting to you right now in the goth industrial scene? Any music that is perking your interest, or even upcoming live shows?
Any upcoming live shows? I would imagine there's Terminus every year.
Yeah.
There is a show that you and I are performing together as Twitch. We're opening for Voice Industry, a band I've yet to see live.
Oh, you're in for a treat, man.
Yeah. So, and from what I understand, they, Voice Industry being veterans within the industrial music scene.
Yeah.
As for others that I'm looking forward to, or like others within the Calgary scene. I mean, it doesn't even
have to be the Calgary scene. I mean, you can. I mean, that's my next question. What bands are you excited about in the Calgary scene? But it doesn't have to be in the Calgary scene. It can be anywhere. I mean, it could be even like the whole post-punk revival. It could be, whatever. Like, what is that band called? What is that EDM band? Youth Code.
Youth Code.
Like, it could be stuff like that, like EBM revival type stuff as well.
Yeah. Other than that, I can't see any. I'm looking forward to much. It's not industrial, far from it, but I did see Serena.
Yeah, I saw your videos on
Facebook. With Threat Signal and Serena. Well, I've been a fan of them for quite some time. Even when the founder, when he was in his other band Tristania.
Okay.
Huge fan for that length period of time.
Yeah.
To your other question about Calgary bands. I know it's not industrial. I would say the one Calgary music artist that I'm most intrigued by would be Hello Moth.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he's an interesting guy.
Just seeing what he does on stage, his presence and everything.
Yeah.
As well as and his innovation. I have a loop station here. It's probably not the exact same that he likes to use.
A little bit more.
Yeah,
Yes, he's got a loop station. Loop station.
Yeah, so I'm actually trying to get rid of this. It was given to me.
Yeah.
I haven't. Don't get me wrong. I love what Hello Moth does, but I haven't figured out a way that I can use
it for your live shows.
Use this for my live shows, or use it creatively for that matter.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to be able to trade this off to somebody who can.
Yeah.
Another Calgary artist I'm also very intrigued by would be Esther Wiedmann.
Esther. That's how you say it? Wiedmann?
Wiedmann.
Oh, okay.
She's German.
Yeah.
So it would be pronounced, the W would be pronounced like a B. Monster of a singer. She's mostly known for playing keyboards in the band Negative Earth.
Yeah.
Trev Keel's band.
Yeah.
But she's got a whole bunch of videos on her YouTube channel, which I highly recommend checking out. ESTHERWIDD, I think WIDMANN. I don't know if it's 2 Ds or 1 D, but either way, you should go on YouTube and you should check her shit out.
She's also on Reverb Nation.
And she also has a track on Apple Music as well. So I would hope to one day do a gig with her at some point. Like I said, monster of a singer, monster of a musician.
Yeah.
Who else? Every Hour Kills, which is kind of more like
is that local or?
They're a local band.
Oh, really?
It's Alan Sashalasko. He used to play in the band Divinity.
Oh, okay.
And a phenomenal producer as well.
Yeah.
It's got they have a new album out, which you should check out on Bandcamp. Kind of like it's extreme metal, but with a lot of electronic and industrial sounding synth undertones.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? I mean, there's Slavis projects. Purity Control, Tenatron. I would say if it wasn't for Tenatron, Pandemik9 wouldn't be doing as many gigs as it has.
Yeah. Slava, I want to play with Purity Control. Get your shit together. I'm sure he does too.
Yeah.
So, any last words?
Any last words? Well, I am still working on a new album, and it's going to be called Revamp. I'm still getting the cover art put together. I'm probably going to get Rissy from the band Technotron to put it together again. Probably going to send an email to her at some point in the near future.
Yeah.
It's going to be 8 tracks, probably about 50-ish minutes worth of music. There's going to be one lyrical track on the album, which I still have to record vocals for. I'm not going to give too much away, but the lyrical track is going to go against the grain of what I've been normally singing about. This one is essentially about my...
your love for walls.
My love for walls, yeah. As you can tell, I mean, this is a very confined space. And that's just how I love it. Right, so... Actually, what it is about is my experience dealing with a couple of few other independent musicians who are nothing more than just legends only in their own minds.
I see.
They go out, they claim that they are all that and a bag of chips, but really all they do is drop names to legitimize their status, or I'm sure you know a few people.
Yeah, I know some people
who would do
that.
Yeah, they just basically go on about how how legit they are. And
yeah.
and then 5 years, 10 years down the road, they're basically still in the studio. Probably jacking off to a mirror image of themselves. And
narcissism.
That is exactly what they are. They're narcissists. And for those of you, if you're watching this, well, fuck you.
Show the cup.
Exactly. Eat a bag of dicks.
What are your various sites and social media channels?
There is... For sites, we'll go on Bandcamp, pandemik9.bandcamp.com. Most of the time I'm active on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, which is just Pandemik9, and my Facebook page is facebook.com/Pandemik9Industrial.
Okay. Well, that's it, Brooke. That's what it is. Industrial+Beers, episode 3. Pandemik9, Brooke Chiasson. If you enjoy these videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. See you later. Oops. I forgot to say one more thing. Rap on, fuckers. See ya.